Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Southeast Media Sunrise, dedicated to giving a voice to authors of all genres. I'm your host, Jody Hawkinson. Joining us remotely by phone today is Linda S. Plunkett, Ph.D., author of Supernatural Rescue from Broken to Beautiful. Linda Plunkett holds a Ph.D. in Christian psychology. She ministers as a counselor, teacher, and speaker. She and her husband Jim live in Seminole, Florida. She has 2 grown children. Her book, Supernatural Rescue from Broken to Beautiful, tells the story surrounding the brain surgery that she underwent after being diagnosed in 2012 with a brain tumor the size of a tennis ball. She still has no sense of smell. Thank you for joining us today, Linda.
Thank you for having me, Jody.
My pleasure. So can you tell us what was going through your mind when you found out that you had a brain tumor?
Well, as you can imagine, someone who basically who was healthy and had really no issues as far as health, I was in total shock. And, as a counselor, we counselors can't be, quote, in denial, because we have to be in the real world because we help clients be in the real world. But at the same time, I was in total shock, and a part of me said, can this be true? Am I having a dream? I, just could not imagine. I was not having headaches. I was not having symptoms that would lead me to believe that I wasn't well.
What was it like to have brain surgery?
It's very, very frightening. And just interviewing doctors, talking to doctors that are brain surgeons, they have very different opinions. And going into something where your head is going to be cut from ear to ear, not knowing if you're going to survive it. It is very frightening. My surgery was supposed to be a 3 to 4 hour surgery and ended up lasting almost 8 hours because I had complications. So the fact I was still alive and I made it through the surgery was probably one of the many miracles I experienced.
What were the immediate consequences following this nearly 8-hour surgery?
Well, I woke up. I couldn't walk. I had trouble thinking. I had trouble speaking. When I say literally, I put my face in my hands and I cried and I said, I don't know how to do this. This is what happened. I just was a blank. I was very empty. People say, when I say to them, I felt like a vegetable, they say, what does a vegetable feel like? You can't form the thoughts and the feelings. And then when you have trouble walking on top of it, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to get well. You don't know what the first step is that you should even take. So it was very, very devastating to me. And although I learned to walk and things got better, a few months later, I still was having huge problems recovering mentally. So I went to a major medical institution thinking they could run tests and they could, treat me and help me get better. And they came back and they said, there's nothing we can do for you. And so that was even more devastating.
Yet here you are.
Yet here I am. And, there was a part of me that said, I can't live like this. I messed up. I know I messed up, but there's got to be a way. I've got to find a way. And so when I tell people don't give up, I speak that from personal experience because it was a very dark time, especially those first few months. But for someone in the medical community to say there's basically no hope, I just couldn't accept that. I knew there had to be a way, and God did give me a way. And so I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful for that.
I understand you had a near-death experience. Can you tell us about that?
I did. As I said, after the surgery, I pretty much felt like a vegetable. And I was laying at home in my living room. I couldn't even get up the stairs to the bedroom, but so I was sleeping on the couch. And as I laid there on the couch, I felt, and this is very, very hard to put into words. I wish I could describe it better, but I literally felt my spirit separate from my body, and I was moving towards the door. I was getting closer and closer, and I got right next to the front door, and I knew that I was ready to leave, that I was going to be out of there. I was going to be gone. And this gigantic hand came out and pulled me back into my body, which I believe was the hand of God. But interesting enough, for that 10-day period, I hadn't felt God. I felt God had left me, and that was also very devastating. But I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt when the hand came out and pulled me back, it was God, and God was back.
Aw, that is so nice. Can you tell us about a devastating event that occurred 8 months following the surgery?
8 months after the brain surgery, when I finally felt I was beginning to feel better and starting to recover, I woke up. I had pain all over my body, and I could not sleep. And went to a number of doctors. The only answer I could find was fibromyalgia. A couple doctors said, I don't believe in that. I'm going to find out what's wrong with you, but no one else really found anything other than that.
Mm-hmm.
But that was horrible because the worse that I slept, the more pain I had, and it continued.
And so you no longer suffer from that?
Well, what happened, if I have a very balanced life and I take care of myself, my health has actually improved a lot because of choices I had made in my diet and my exercise regimen and how I live my life. But really, for the most part, no. I got stem cells for an injury, and the stem cells actually pretty much cured the fibromyalgia, so that was a huge blessing.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I understand there were additional supernatural events that followed the diagnosis.
There were. When I was going through the extreme pain and suffering with the fibromyalgia, I was taking care of my father in Ohio, who was 98 years of age. And I got an electrical shock, and it's when I was not sleeping and I was having so much pain. I went out in the garage and I just cried. And I said, God, why didn't you just let me die? I mean, I was suffering and having so much pain. I know that sounds very selfish, but when it goes on and on and on, it's just hard to want to live. And so I cried out to God and I said, God, why didn't you let me die? And that night, a bright light came through the ceiling of my room and there was an angel on the other side. And so it was frightening. I'd never seen an angel or seen a bright light come through the ceiling, but I knew it was God's way of telling me that I was going to be okay.
So tell us what total length of time it took for your brain to recover.
Well, that's hard because if you count the fibromyalgia, really, I would say several years. When I published Supernatural Rescue in 2016, that would have already been 3 years, and was probably within a year after that. So, yeah, it was between 3 and 4 years that I really, I say I suffered, and I did. It was very difficult, but at the same time, God did allow miracles. I got a hole-in-one on the golf course. I'm not that good of a golfer. I did things I didn't think that I would ever do. So God blessed me in spite of it.
Let's speak about Supernatural Rescue a bit. What made you write that book?
Well, it was one of those things I never thought I would go through in a million years. As a Christian counseling psychologist, I thought I would write a book about psychology or helping people. But, I realized for a long time I asked God, why, and why me? But once I got through all the pain and suffering, I realized that I could encourage and I could inspire other people. People say that I'm a walking miracle, and I believe that I am. And I believe I'm alive to reach out and to help other people who are also in pain and suffering.
That is just fantastic that you have that outlook and that you're willing to be of such great help to people. Now, I understand you can be contacted to book a speaking engagement. Can you tell our audience if anyone would like to contact you for an engagement, how they would go about doing that?
Yes, you can either go to my website, which is lindaplunkett.com, or feel free to email me. And if you would just put something about wanting a speaker or something to that effect in the subject line, send your email to Hope for Hurting, and I'll spell that out, HOPEFORHURTING @AOL.com.
What's your next project?
Well, I'm actually working on a couple different things. I went through a publisher for Supernatural Rescue, but I realized there were a lot of things I could not do, like people are asking for an audiobook. So I'm going to relaunch Supernatural Rescue with self-publishing. I have 2 more books that I plan on writing, and I'm also planning a TEDx talk and also a website, as I mentioned, for people to download help off the internet.
Looks like we're out of time. Anyone interested in purchasing her book can visit Amazon. And for more information, you can also visit lindasplunket.com. And that's LINDASPLUNKETT.com. And again, we have been speaking with Linda Plunkett, author of Supernatural Rescue from Broken to Beautiful. Thanks again for joining us today, Linda.
Thank you so much, Jody. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, my pleasure. And listeners, if you're interested in getting your book published, please visit us at semediapro.com and click on the book publishing link. This is Jody Hawkinson, host of Southeast Media Sunrise, Southeast Media Productions. Like us on Facebook at Southeast Media Productions, or visit our website at semediapro.com.